is CHAdeMO alive and well today, or is that kind of a thing that is going to die off soon? Uh,
I don't know about soon, but it's a great question. Is what happened recently is with Nissan announcing the Aria, their upcoming SUV, CUV, I guess, depending on the size of it, is it's not going to be using CHAdeMO for fast charging. It's going to be using CCS.
oh
And
wow, okay, so even they are they are
well,
leaving it behind.
yeah, that was the last. I think that was the last domino to fall. Was okay
Ah,
because Nissan has, again, they were the pioneers of saying, okay, the Leaf is out, we got to put fast charging out there, and there is a lot of CHAdeMO stations that exist, and that's part of the catch, right? Is there's going to be a lot of legacy infrastructure
equipment.
that people are, yeah, the equipment's going to be sitting there. And people make the mistake all the time where they pull up at a station thinking, I guess this will work. I don't know. And then they find themselves stranded. And so that's what we're trying to define quickly. So with Chargeway for our software, for example, is if you download the Chargeway app, once you add your car, it just immediately shows you only stations that work for your car. It won't even let you go to the wrong one. And
I
that's a
see.
big part of it. Whereas a lot of other apps that have existed for a long time, they really focus on, we're going to show you everything,
Everything.
and then you get to figure it out. And consumers don't want to shop that way. That's why Tesla kicks butt, is they just go to where you can go, and it's in the car already.
And it tells
So
you how far it is. It tells
yeah.
you how, how much energy you're gonna have left if you head straight out there, or this one or that one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a great. It's all doing all the thinking for you. Uh,
That's the part that we wanted to build into ChargeWays. Like we have a trip planner built into it, so you can choose any EV on the road, add it to a trip planner, and just say, I want to go from here to here. It's this. The temperature is about this many degrees outside. I want to drive this fast, and it'll calculate your entire trip using that and say, okay, here are the stations you got to stop at, and here's your estimated charge time at each one. So
wow.
we really looked at the solution of how you get average people to feel comfortable. And what it boiled down to was, if it's not a universal plug type, they need to know when they choose a car, which stations work for me. And then once they know that, is how long do I got to wait at this one I've chosen based on power? And you identify that with the numbers. And then once those two things are identified, where can I go? And then you put them into a trip planner that makes them say, oh, wow, this is actually really simple. And that's how you build confidence. And that's what Tesla did. So that's what we're just trying to do for everybody.
Ah, I see. Yeah, but you guys, wow. So it's not an easy task, right? Because you have so many variables.
Yeah.
Like every car is different, uh, and they perform different at different circumstances, depending on
Mm-hmm.
temperature. Are you guys taking also into account like the terrain, like if there's mountains in between and
Yeah. So the algorithms we have built into our trip planner are conservative by design. It doesn't, like, we'll have owners that will say to us, hey, I planned this trip, but I know I can make it to this other stop and I've got like 2% charge left. And the answer is, that's true. You're an early adopter. If we handed this to Bob and Jane that don't know anything, that's going to scare them to death. We'd rather help them feel like, oh, I made this trip and the first stop I had, I was down to like 18%, which isn't as, you got to lean into a softer approach for getting people to feel comfortable, and then inevitably they might want to push it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so we take into account a lot of those details. So we're not forcing people to stretch too far. We want them to feel comfortable, and the visualization of that matters. Is fuel visibility. And we had one gentleman in a focus group we had. He said, "Well, when I'm driving down the highway, I'll see a gigantic orange ball with a 76 in it, and I'll be like, there's gas there, there's fuel there. I've never seen that for charging ever, so I don't have a clue how to trust this thing. So it's like, that's a good point, man. So that's part of the problem, is people don't know how to visualize. Most people don't even know they have a fuel choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there will be a future. I think where there will be signs saying like you can charge here, but we're far away from that. I think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not too far. This technology is just moving so quickly, right? That
Yeah.
we might be a few years away where there's signs on the freeways like Chatham over here, or well, maybe not Chatham, but maybe
Old
it's
one
gonna
over
be
here. Yeah.
red, 25 or red 3 or whatever the number is, right? Like that is will be seen instead of the name of the connector and the name of, because yeah, who cares about the connector? I mean, eventually we will reach to a standard, right? I mean, do you think there will be one charging thing, or this is too confusing? This doesn't help anyone. Like
Well,
having different connectors, even these combo connectors are ridiculous. They're like this big,
yeah.
right? And you're like, why does it have two different types of connectors? Like Tesla got it. There's a tiny connector can
Yep.
do up to 250 kilowatts.
Yep.
Like, why aren't everyone copying that? Like, that's just I don't
Well,
get that.
you can. I mean, my opinion is you can tell that from Tesla's perspective, they looked at it and it was a very Steve Jobsian approach. Is they looked at it and said, okay, what are we trying to do for the customer to take them where we want them to go and be happy with our products? So what do they have an expectation for? We've got to make it elegant. We've got to make it simple. We've got to make it them comfortable, right? Whereas you have CCS and CHAdeMO, by example, as the other options here in North America, they're not as elegant. They just simply aren't. And in Europe, they've really honed in on just the single standard for CCS in Europe. It's a different style of connector for the CCS we have here in North America. So in Chargeway language, we say, oh, that's the purple connector in Europe. And the one here in North America is the green connector. So that's how we differentiate it. But then in Europe, they've done a better job of that. But then you still have the communication protocols between the car and the charger. Like the Tesla superchargers, they're now using the exact same connector shape, but not all of those chargers there will work with every car. So you could pull up with an Audi, plug it in, and be like, oh, wait, it's not doing anything. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's because it's not communicating. So there's even those little things. So this is the part where there's been, I think, a lack of appreciation by a lot of the industry to really appreciate, like, okay, we're trying to get people to do things differently with their daily life. And if you throw schematic drawings and kilowatts and AC and DC at them, they will forever just opt for saying, I go get regular.
Yes.
And the sales reps and dealers are going to be the same way. It's like
every gas station has the gas that I need.
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing figured out. If it's a gas station, you can fill up, right?
Yep.
I guess the closest thing to that would be like diesel, but how many of us ever drove diesel? That wasn't a thing, unless you were driving a Volkswagen, I guess.
Yeah.